Hey guys. Okay, so just more crazy things, more insanity. I think what I'm going to do is from now on, well, maybe not all the time, but I'm gonna make a vlog, every time, not every time, but when really crazy things happen, especially if it's a continuation of something that happened in the past. Again, to give you an idea of how this works and what is happening, what is being done to me. Okay, so the quickest first. Yesterday I had to go to the store, and I do still take public transportation, though not as often as I used to. I used to take it everywhere. Or there's the phone. And the phone didn't ring literally until for hours until I started making this video. Anyway, so I used to take public transit everywhere. Sometimes I would take rideshare also, but I haven't done that recently. I still take public transportation, but not as much, just because of what's going on. I can't do it anymore. They swarm the perpetrators. So anyway, I was waiting for a cab to go to the store because I had to pick a few things up, and so first of all, the cab light was on, and this is a massively busy part of the city. So there are cabs that drive by all the time, but no one stopped. Okay, and if I had called for a cab, they wouldn't have come, right? Just like they do that to the elderly as well. If the elderly are also being targeted, and I'm not gonna go into that story right now, but so yeah, eventually, a cab came in, and he was supposed to pick someone else up, or supposedly, but that person left in another cab so another cab came and dropped someone off, and I was going to get in that, but right as I was going to get in, another person came out, and she's an elderly lady, so I let her go instead. Um, so then, 10 minutes later, the cab came that she had ordered, right? She had ordered a cab, which I guess she just didn't want to wait for. And so he waited for her for a little while. I didn't know that she had ordered that cab. And eventually, I guess he was told that the person that he was waiting for left. So that's the cab that I got in. He let me go in. Okay, so we get to the store, and there had been, it wasn't a major snowstorm, but there had been some snow, sleet, and ice, a few days ago, a while back. And along the side of by the grass and the sidewalk by the street, there was a massive pile of this frozen, icy, slick snow. Okay, so we got to the store, and the cab driver didn't want to go into the parking lot to drop me off. So he wanted to drop me off by the side, where I was literally, I had to almost be careful to open the door because it would hit the ice, which was, because the plows had come by, so it was like it was pretty high. But I said, okay, fine, that's just fine, just drop me off here if that's what you want. And I wasn't going to argue with him. I wasn't in the mood. So right, I get out of the cab, and there's a pole right there, and I'm trying to step up onto this icy, this slick pile of snow and ice, and it was very slippery. It was very slippery. So I was holding on. I barely had closed the cab door, and I was holding onto the pole also. That's how close he got to there's no place for me to even step. But I stepped on the street, and so I was trying to pull myself up because I still wasn't feeling well. I was still dizzy. I was still, pretty weak. Just as soon as I barely closed the door, he sped off, and I nearly almost fell. He almost ran over my foot. Okay, first of all, because I was still standing in the street, and I nearly almost fell. And I was able to pull myself up, luckily, and I fell forward instead on my knees, and I was fine. I mean, I didn't get injured, but he did that on purpose because before we got out of the cab, he got a call, okay? And he kind of it wasn't a call. He got some kind of text on his cell phone, and he looked at it, and then he kind of looked back at me, and then looked back at the text, and I knew something was up, so I was waiting for something to happen, and there it is, right? And I shouted asshole at him as he drove off, as I'm, on my knees in this, and it wasn't even in the snow. This was ice. So it was hard. It was like a pile of hard, ice, snow and sleet that had hardened. But I was okay. It was, luckily this time. And this is what they'll do. They will try to physically harm the target, but they'll make it look like an accident. They'll make it look like, anything but what it is, which is an actual attack. Okay. Okay, so aside from that, let's talk about my doctor's visit. So last Thursday, I had gone to see the doctor, right? And she had told me she wanted me to come back in 2 weeks, make an appointment for 2 weeks just to check the blood pressure issue and to also bring my blood pressure monitor with, so that we can see if, I'm getting accurate readings on that, because my readings are coming out pretty low. And, with that, and plus with my blood pressure dropping so dramatically when I stand up, that could be why I'm getting so dizzy. But, right. So after the appointment, I went to schedule that, the follow-up in 2 weeks. And I thought I did, but apparently it doesn't ever work out that way. It's never that simple for someone who's being targeted. So what happened? I went to schedule the appointment, and then I went to sit down because, that's just how it is. You kind of wait your turn, which is fine. So I went to sit down in the waiting area to be called up to schedule the appointment. Okay, no problem. Now, there was a woman who was sitting at the scheduling desk, and she was chatting with someone, and there were a few people up front who were also chatting, and I was just sitting there waiting, and one of the guys left his, one of the I guess he was a patient there or a perpetrator, who knows, left his backpack in the back, and I didn't even walk by it. I stayed as far away from that as possible because I kind of sensed a possible setup, so I walked away from that, and so they were up there chatting and talking and whatever. And the woman was just chatting, and she was pretty much, she saw me, but she ignored me. Finally, one of the guys who was up there, and he was pretty nice. He actually went back and, he went over to the woman, and he said, he told her to, I don't know exactly what he told her, but, he motioned for her to come on, let's, hurry up. There's someone waiting. And he motioned at me too. And then finally she called me. So, that was nice of him to say something. Otherwise, I just would have been waiting there. Right. Anyway, so I went up, and now I've seen her before, and I was a little worried, and I should have been more cautious at that point and looked at the appointment card she gave me. So what happened was I had 2 points scheduled for the future. Okay, one was in March. Okay, and then one was for the beginning of February. So what we were going to do is cancel the appointment for the beginning of February, keep the March appointment, but cancel the appointment for the beginning of February and make it for, it was like, I think February, I don't remember. But instead make it for the end of January, a little before that, right, for 2 weeks. Well, she didn't do that. She canceled the, she canceled the appointment for February, and then she made another appointment like a few days after that appointment. Yeah. But we were supposed to make it before, right? We were supposed to push the appointment up. She pushed it back. And I didn't find this out until, now yesterday my doctor called me and I wasn't here. So I didn't get the message. And I had my cell phone on airplane mode, which I do when I go out targeted. You want to leave your cell phone on airplane mode when you're out. You want to keep Bluetooth off, right? So anyway, my doctor called and she said that she would like to see me because I was a bit low on potassium, and we did lower one of the blood pressure medications, the hydrochlorothiazide, but the other one we kept at a normal level. So she wants to see if lowering that second one that I'm on might help with the potassium issue, because maybe I'm just losing too much potassium, especially since I'm doing keto now. I could just be losing too much potassium because of that. So she wanted to check that. It's important. But she also said she wants me to schedule an appointment for, a follow-up appointment for 2 weeks, and to have those labs done. But I thought I had scheduled a follow-up appointment for 2 weeks, right? I thought I had. So, and I got the call. It was yesterday. I'm sorry. If I said today, I'm tired. It was yesterday. Okay. So I got the call yesterday. So I called back today and I found out that, no, I don't have an appointment for 2 weeks. The woman who I saw at, who was supposed to schedule my appointment did not push the appointment, that first appointment up. She pushed it back. Okay. And this is kind of frightening because I've seen this woman before. She doesn't like me and she's screwing, well, when someone is screwing with your physical health, that's a problem. That's a problem. Yeah. So the reception, she wasn't, they have a few people working there. Most are nice. Most of the people there are nice. But this one in particular, a few months ago, I went to schedule an appointment because that's what you do after an appointment. You go and schedule another one at the, either the main desk or some other area, right? So that was the only area where I could go to at that point. That's where they sent me to schedule. And this was a few months ago. So she was nice at first. And then she looked at her cell phone. She got some kind of text. She looked at her cell phone, looked back at me, gave this horrified look of disgust and nausea. And then from that point on, she was really bitchy. And I just left. I wasn't mean. I didn't say anything. So when I got her again to schedule, the appointment, last Thursday, I should have checked the appointment card to make sure she wrote it down right. But she wrote it down and she very quickly said, "Here you go." And, it was kind of like a rushed sensation. And I got up really quickly and rushed out. I should have checked the card. And I think that might have been done on purpose too, so that I don't know. But it's my bad. I should have checked when I was there to make sure she had scheduled the right date. So that's that. I have now I've now got 2 appointments scheduled, one for labs and then one follow-up with the doctor, which is later than the doctor had wanted me to come back, but there's nothing I can do about that now. So, my lower blood pressure, it's just gonna have to stay that way. And, we're gonna have to stay on the meds. I'm gonna have to stay on the meds until I see the doctor and we can clarify what's going on and even see if my own at-home monitor is functioning properly. Because what she wanted to do was compare it to having my, to their own monitors to see if there's, if it's similar, if the readings are similar, which is a good idea. I mean, obviously we need to know, right? So now that's going to have to wait an extra week. Then there's the next part, which is, it's, so, when you open, bottle of water, like whether it's a fizzy thing, a fizzy bottle of seltzer water or something, you kind of get that snap and that pop and then that fizzle as an unopened bottle of water, is freshly opened. Well, that doesn't happen usually with me anymore. Why? Because it looks closed. It looks closed, and you can't just go around stores opening bottles to make sure they weren't already open and then putting them back, right? Then you get arrested or something, right? Because they know that, and there are always people around there where, getting in my way and standing in the aisle that I need before I get there. But they also know usually what I'm going to get before I get it. And I can't always just buy different items. Sometimes you have to you need a specific item, right? And so they'll open it literally so that when I get home, it'll already be open. And like, sometimes with bottled water, there's a seal, so you can tell if the seal is, is broken, and I'll typically do that. Or, I'll get cans of drinks that can't be, tampered with or something. But with certain seltzer water, and certain, other item bottles, you can't really tell until they're opened. And when you get that fizz, right? And well, they open it before I buy it. And I don't know if they're putting something in it or not, but the whole point, I think, is to worry me, to make me fear having my food and drink tampered with. And, to make me fear having my mother's food and drink tampered with. They'll always have some guy standing over what I want, fiddling with everything there. Once they had a woman do it, fiddling and then looking back at me, then looking at her phone, then fiddling again, then looking back at me, and then looking back at the food. Right, as she looks at me, and it's supposed to look suspicious. It's supposed to create fear so that the targets can never feel safe anywhere. You can't even feel safe shopping, right? And for targets who can buy more, who can be diverse, right? Who can just buy different things every time. That just might no, that's a good idea. Buy something different every time so they don't know what you're going to get. But for those targets who have to, you have set items that you have to get. You're not always just shopping for yourself. Sometimes you're shopping for someone else. And sometimes you're on a specific diet where you need specific items. It's difficult. It's really difficult. So that's a struggle. That's always a struggle. I'm thinking that today because I got this bottle of and I'm not going to buy that anymore. It's seltzer water, and it looked sealed. But when I went to open it, it had already been open. So. Anyway, I'm going to cut this short now. I just wanted to put that out there. As this progresses, I'll make some more videos. At some point, I'll make another video for better explaining organized stalking and some of the tactics used. And I know I briefly went into that in some of the other older videos, but I will elaborate. All right, peace.